Today's explainer is based on the article Circadian Fasting and the Physiology of Early Eating by Joachim Bartal. We're going to explore some really compelling science that suggests when you eat could be just as crucial for your health as what you eat.
We've been told for decades that what we eat is pretty much the be-all, end-all of health. But what if that's only half the story? We're about to look at some fascinating evidence that suggests the timing of our meals might be this huge, overlooked factor in our metabolic health. The real question is, could we be accidentally sabotaging our own health just by eating too late?
So, where's the proof in all this? Well, let's start with the hard data. There's a massive, recent study that really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. And honestly, its conclusions are crystal clear. And the scale here is just, wow. This is not some small, isolated experiment. We're talking about a meta-analysis. That's a study of studies, pulling together the results from 41 different trials with over 2,200 participants. And the conclusion, which they reached with a high degree of certainty, is that an early eating window is just flat out better for a whole bunch of health markers. And to put a real number on it, the data show that the folks who finished their last meal early in the day, we're talking before 5 p.m., lost, on average, an extra 1.15 kilograms. That's about 2.5 pounds. And get this, that's compared to people eating the exact same amount of food, just in a later window. The only thing that changed was the timing. But it goes way beyond just what the scale says. The early eating group, they saw lower fasting insulin, which is so critical for metabolic health. They also had better waist reduction, improved blood pressure, and lower triglycerides. Across the board, eating early was the clear winner, while the late eating group consistently had the worst health outcomes overall. Okay, so the data is pretty convincing. Eating early is better. But why? What's actually happening inside our bodies? While the author of our source article argues it isn't just some vague biological rhythm. Nope, it comes down to two very specific, very powerful processes that get completely derailed by late-night meals. So, meet the first member of your body's overnight repair crew, growth hormone, or GH. Think of this as your body's prime-time repair hormone. It surges during the first few hours of deep sleep, and it gets to work repairing tissues, burning fat for energy, and preserving muscle. Here's the kicker, though. Eating late, especially a meal with protein, spikes your insulin, and insulin flatlines that GH release. You're basically shutting down the entire repair shop right when it's supposed to be opening for business. And the second key process is something called autophagy. The easiest way to think about this is as your body's internal cleaning service. It goes around, finds old, damaged cellular parts, and recycles them. This is huge for reducing inflammation and just generally cleaning house. But, and this is a big but, autophagy only really kicks into high gear after digestion is done and you're in a fasted state. So a late dinner pushes the start of that cleanup job deep into the night, which means your body has way less time to do its work. And this right here is the fundamental conflict. Your body is a terrible multitasker in this respect. It cannot do both things at the same time. The minute food enters the system, the body's one and only priority is to digest and absorb those nutrients, period. All those other long-term projects like tissue repair from growth hormone and cellular cleanup from autophagy, they're all put on hold. A late meal means your body is busy digesting while you're supposed to be sleeping, hijacking the precious time that should be dedicated to repair and recovery. So on top of those two big mechanisms being blocked, there's an even more fundamental reason our bodies just aren't built for late-night meals. It all comes down to our hormones. Our metabolism runs on a 24-hour clock, and it is programmed to handle food very, very differently in the evening compared to the morning. So think about it. As the day winds down and your body starts preparing for sleep, your melatonin levels rise. And one of the things melatonin does is it actually tells your pancreas to chill out and produce less insulin. The result? Your body becomes naturally more insulin resistant in the evening. It's just not as efficient at getting sugar out of your bloodstream as it is earlier in the day. It's a built-in feature. So, what do you think happens when you drop a big meal into that system? Well, the consequences are pretty direct. Your blood sugar and your triglycerides, the fats in your blood, they stay elevated for way longer than they should. This prolonged exposure can actually damage the lining of your blood vessels in your organs over time, and it really messes with your body's ability to burn fat effectively overnight. Okay, so this is where the author of the source material connects all this physiological evidence back to a really specific evolutionary argument about what he believes is our ideal diet. Let's dig into that rationale for a second. The author's central argument is that for the vast, vast majority of human history, our bodies were optimized for a diet that was primarily made up of animal foods.
He argues that our digestive systems are basically tailor-made for the nutrients we get from meat, fat, and organs, which he suggests were our main fuel sources long before agriculture came along. And this all loops right back to meal timing. From the author's perspective, animal-based meals are digested pretty quickly. We're talking maybe 3 to 4 hours. This allows the body to reliably get into that fasted state before you go to sleep. In contrast, he argues that plant-heavy diets can slow down digestion, which makes it a lot harder to get that clean overnight fasting window that's so crucial for all that repair work we talked about. So we've got the what from the data, we've got the why from the physiology. The last and maybe most important question is, now what? Right? How do we actually apply this stuff to our lives? Well, the author lays out a really clear 5-step protocol. All right, here's how the author suggests we put this all into practice. First, time your last meal. Aim to be done eating at least 4 to 6 hours before you hit the pillow. Second, front load your food. Make breakfast and lunch your biggest meals of the day. Third, following his logic, is to prioritize animal foods to help with that digestive efficiency. Fourth, and this is a big one, avoid late snacks because they can restart that whole digestive process. And finally, number 5, you combine all of this with great sleep hygiene, a dark, cool room, a consistent bedtime to really maximize those repair processes. So at the end of the day, all of this research really challenges us to think beyond just what's on our plate. It's asking us to take a hard look at our daily rhythms and ask ourselves a simple question. Are our eating habits working with our biology, or are they working against it? Aligning when we eat with our body's own programming could seriously be the key to unlocking a whole new level of health and recovery. Thank you for listening to another session of the NotebookLM.News series. You can find the full archive of all my podcasts at NotebookLM.News.